is where we're seeing that possible tornado. Now, that is heading out of the News 40 viewing area, so now the focus is going to shift from that cell to the line. Now, this is what's coming in, and I can already, I've just kind of been peeking out at the monitors here in the studio and watching lightning start to tick up here as well, ahead of that line. So if you're watching that line and you're hearing some thunder and you've noticed maybe lightning flashing through your windows or whatever, it is because of this line that's about to move in. It's right now over Greenville, it's over Central City, it's over Breckenridge County, in that area, Ohio County, all the way down to Muhlenberg County. That's where severe thunderstorm warnings are going on right now. And there is a new tornado warning, I just noticed, back into Trigg County. That's Cadiz, Kentucky, the land between the lakes. So that, and you can see how that cell is bowing out. See it right there? That's a bow segment. Let's look in on that one. I'm just curious.
Let's go with the Paducah.
Yeah, Paducah will give you better resolution. There we go. So the community of Hardin, there's Murray, Benton, Kentucky. You've got 641 that runs through there. You've got 6880 that runs through Cadiz and out toward that same area. But it's this segment bowing out that is where you've got the worst of the winds. And there might be, and they're probably looking at right in here. It's hard to see with this velocity scan.
Let's see if anything's better. Oh, that's not Paducah. There we go.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I would say that notch right there. Even though it's not red and green together, that notch is all it takes. And that's where we would talk about more likely a little spin up, brief tornado. Not big tornadoes. This would be something brief. In fact, there's a new scan. It's starting to get a little color to it. Right there, just northeast of the Hardin community, west of Cadiz. Right along, pretty much right along 6880. So that's why they put that tornado warning out for that area. Look at the cluster of lightning. See, there's, again, it's almost like a red flag. Here it is, right there. It's like, look at all this lightning. Here I am. This is a little notch right there. That's where the circulation is going on. It's trying to tighten up and possibly cause a tornado or produce a tornado. And while I'm seeing some of the lightning pick up and tick up here in Bowling Green, I'm also just now hearing a little rumble of thunder. So all of this is coming ahead of the main line of thunderstorms as it begins to roll through. So let's go back out.
Yeah.
And show the entire line. And look how much of a straight line this is now. As all these little cells have come together and have joined forces into one big line of strong thunderstorms, very heavy rain, gusty winds. There may be some hail, maybe not as large as what we saw with that big supercell, but still, nonetheless, has the capability of not only damaging wind, but maybe just a little brief spin-up tornado is certainly possible, as we're seeing down there in Trigg County. So we're putting a timer on that entire squall line of thunderstorms. And there you see Vine Grove, Litchfield, 906, 907, Radcliffe. Then you go on down to Quality, that's in Butler County. Clarkson in Grayson County at 9, 10 after 9. Lewisburg, again, you're going to get hit again This time from a long line of thunderstorms and not a tornado type situation, but 10 after 9, Lewisburg into parts of Logan County. Then you go Sharon Grove, Jetson, Fairview, all of those, Butler County, and forward. So, yeah, we're already getting the lightning and the thunder here in Bowling Green. In fact, I just saw another good lightning strike. Let's go to a camera or two. Courtesy of AAA Systems, they're the ones that install all of our cameras. And look at there.
Well, there it is.
So we're looking off to the west, and we're seeing, of course, downtown Bowling Green, and we're seeing some pretty good lightning flashes now with that line as it begins to come in. And we're going to see an increase in the number of lightning strikes and heavy rainfall as this goes from more of an individual supercell mode into that more linear line of thunderstorms and heavy rain and gusty winds. You notice the temperature has fallen to 65 degrees. That's that rain cooled air, as we were in the 80s when all of this started, and now we're in the 60s all across the area. There's still some 70s, but I'm starting to see more 60s now with those westernmost cities that are in the Kentucky Mesonet network. Still close to 80 down there in Elkton in Todd County.
Can we take that camera from the baseball field? I think we're getting a lot of activity there.
Can
from
we
that
take
baseball?
Which camera is on there? Is
Three.
it two?
Can we
Three?
take camera 3?
Camera 3. There we go. Now let's just sit on this for a minute. Look at that tarp on the infield.
I don't think they're going to be playing
I-
any innings tonight.
Yeah, no, rain delay, not just rain delay, but they're going to have to reschedule that one. I don't know if they'll double up tomorrow or whatever they've got planned for the Bowling Green Hot Rods, but
It looked pretty active until we took it.
yeah, just give it a second here. It's going to start to pop.
My patience.
Because I've been watching it the last few minutes. Yeah, okay. So there's back to downtown. We're seeing. It's all, yeah.
Yeah.
So our producer Quincy's like, oh, this one has lightning, and then we put it, and there's nothing there. That's the way it works. But anyway, so this is where the storms are coming in. That long line of storms now approaching. Here's Bowling Green, Brownsville. We're getting a little activity out ahead of the main line, but all of this will start to come together. It will catch up with some of these renegade showers that are out ahead of the system. These are not necessarily supercell in nature, but they're just little outliers, if you will, that are just waiting for the main line to come in and catch up with them, and then they'll all come together. So the line, as it comes through, will produce, I think, it will have the capability of producing damaging wind and flooding rain. Now, the flooding rain part of this entire event hasn't been talked about all that much because, well, let's just face it. Okay. It's flooding is not as sexy as tornadoes.
Yeah.
You know,
And it's also, Chris, it's kind of become a normality through
For
2025.
yes,
I mean,
this
12,
year.
12 to 13 inches above the seasonable normal.
Yeah.
Like it's become kind of normal. You talked about it this morning
Mhm.
through your conversation with Jim Cantori. I mean,
Yeah. For those that don't know, Jim Cantori of the Weather Channel texted me like just before 5 a.m. and he said, "Are you ready?" And I'm like, "Sure, I'm ready." And so he was going back and he said, "Now, correct me if I'm wrong, you've had 2 major flooding events, right? And we've had several rounds of severe weather, a little more active than usual this year in 2025. And I said, yes, you're right, you're correct. And so he used that on the Weather Channel when he was, I mean, he was texting me while he was on the air on the Weather Channel this morning, which is pretty cool. But Jim is engaged in this stuff, and he has been following it all day. I should have wrote him back and said, Jim, I'm glad you're not in Bowling Green or Southern Kentucky, because if you were here, this may be a lot worse than what we're seeing right now. But anyway, so getting back to this, severe thunderstorm warnings, numerous severe thunderstorm warnings, and only 2 tornado warnings that we are seeing right now. And that's good news, because back behind this line, Evansville, Carbondale, Cape Girardeau, St. Louis, where they had tornadoes today, they're all in the clear, and the skies have cleared, and everything has settled down a lot from where it was just earlier. So we're looking in on the line of storms approaching Bowling Green, and the one tornado approaching Bowling Green, and the one tornado warning that's kind of in our viewing area is up there near Hardinsburg and Breckinridge County and parts of Hardin County until 9:15, and then the one that's down south in Trigg County until 9:45, and then Adair County tornado warning until 9:45 in Russell County. So that line is going to continue to push in. I don't think we're going to see as much of a hail threat with this line. It's just going to be a lot of lightning, the potential for gusty winds, and intense lightning. You can see all the lightning that we've got going inside that. And then it's just going to be a lot of heavy rain. A lot of heavy rain. Some of you could have an inch and a half or more with that line as it comes through. So if you've already picked up an inch or two today, some of this morning, and you're about to pick up that much more, then you're likely to have some standing water.
Seriously?
In your yard, or if you live on a road that is prone to flooding, it's going to happen again. And the creeks and the streams and the rivers are going to go back up, because in some cases, there's still some remote locations, I kid you not, that are still dealing with some water that's just sitting on the ground.
Not happening.
It has nowhere to go, with the cave and the karst area is being filled up.
He's pissed.
It just has nowhere to go. So that is going to be a new problem. That's kind of an old problem that's going to come back. Maybe it's not as bad as what we had in April, but some of you, I would not be surprised, Micah, to see some of these areas getting some very heavy rain switch over to, say, an aerial flood advisory, or maybe even a flood warning or something like that. That line pushes through. It is moving at a good clip, and that's probably taking us from getting a lot of flooding, but I still think there's going to be some issues with high water out there.
We've seen, I mean, nothing in terms of a flash flood warning or anything like that, but we have seen areas, some of them which are easier. Review Avenue, has notoriously flooded pretty easily, and it flooded, I think, this morning. But those areas that are more prone to flooding, should potentially be seeing flash flood warning fairly soon if this stratiform rain continues further into the night.
Yeah, and the more I look at this with the new tornado warning that has just been issued for parts of Grayson and Hart. This takes Hart County. Now, so let's look at that. Until 9:45. Warning, and it's for the back part of this storm, which is about to move into. And it's, again, because it's a line and not an individual supercell like we've been tracking all night, practically. It's not one cell. There are these little peaks in the line where we're picking up maybe just a little bit of rotation, something that throughout a brief tornado. And it may only last for a few seconds or a minute or two, and not a very strong tornado, but that can still do damage. That potential that we see with the line that's now about to move through Litchfield and into parts of Grayson County. So if you're in Litchfield, seek shelter right now from this their brief tornado that spent anywhere you see the greens and reds coming together. There's several of these that are there on the leading edge of the strongest part of that line of storms. And so the tornado warning has been issued. So this is different from the one big supercell that we had 300 miles from Missouri into parts of the Lake Cumberland at this tower. And I'm seeing a few more clusters of lightning going on there with that as well. So it's picking up, even though the atmosphere worked pretty well, it's picking up on available energy, and it's using that little spin up of a tornado. It's a big, but it's a possibility enough that the Weather Service has put that tornado warning out. So this down that line, if you mic it, and you can see how it's starting to kind of go back all the way down to just. This is where we go out at upper winds down to the ground and push damaging straight line winds out of the main area of rain, thunders. That's where you could get wind, 70 miles per hour in some cases. Warned that the potential was there for almost Category 1 hurricane strength winds. All this comes together, which it has. Category 1 hurricane is 74
mile per hour winds is Category 1.
Yeah. Okay. So imagine some of the winds the storms is putting down is or could be close to Category 1 hurricane strength. That's what we're dealing with. Seeing that is that a continuance of the first tornado warning is in Trigg County?
Yeah, it's just a continuance to and losing of the back half of that.
Okay, yeah, and some of the tornado watches now shake off from, say, south of Princeton all the way down to Mayfield, which were under the same tornado watch as we are. Now, since behind this line, it's a watch no longer a threat for tornado western Kentucky, which is some good news. Hearing a little bit more in the way of thunder here.
Yeah, I think
downtown.
Seems like the sky is lit up in downtown. If we take those cameras there.
Yeah, let's go to a ballpark. First right we go to, there's nothing. But we'll just wait. let's hear from
Is
it.
there somebody sitting up there
Where?
in the left?
No, that's, that is a piece of equipment.
Okay, I'm glad. I
Yeah,
just saw
there's,
there was something shining or something moving.
yeah,
Or braver than me. I don't think that much braver.
yeah. The ballpark, as fun as it is, and it's such a great place that it is for entertainment, concerts, baseball games, whatever. There's some of that lightning. It is not a safe place to be in severe weather. Just not. You don't want to be there. You don't want to be there at all. Okay, let's inspect now the strongest part of the storm that's coming through. Here is Storm Inspector. This is a special piece of software that we have on our radar that can look for hail. That's where the greatest hail located, just south and including Morgantown and down almost to the northern of Logan County. You see more lightning strikes that are happening here, where you see the dark green. That's some very heavy rainfall. Rainfall rates in some of these areas, it's going to be close to an inch an hour, maybe more than that. And that is, 2 inches an hour there next to that hail that you see. That's the brighter green. Just get Rochester. Rochester, you don't need any more water at all. You're right there on the Green River. You've had incredible flooding. Your entire town has been underwater for the last month. You don't need any more rain, but you're getting it, whether you like it or not. It's there. And as you can see, rainfall rates and hail, there's still a little bit of hail trying to come out of the strongest part of the line of storms as it comes through. And here's some good news at Greenville, Rockport, Beaver Dam. You're out of the threat of severe weather now. Everything is kind of south or east of you, if you're watching. And here comes
some rain.
More rain. I don't hear any hail. This with lightning. I'm looking at the corner of my eye. It's pretty intense. New tornado warning for southern Christian County.
We've also got the new severe thunderstorm warning that's entering more parts across the area, even encompassing some of Barron County, a lot of the Warren County area into northern parts, the central parts of Barron County, really encompassing Edmonson County as well.
Yeah, so that new severe thunderstorm warning, north Logan, south central LaRue, that would take in the Hodgenville area, all of Hart County, southeastern Butler, southeastern Grayson, all of Warren County, northwestern Barron, and all of Edmonson County until 10 p.m. So what they're doing here is they're looking at this line and you know it's going to come through these places. So they just, let's just go ahead and issue a big aerial type severe thunderstorm warning that takes in a pretty good chunk of real estate, because that line has got to go through all these places: Munfordville, Brownsville, Bowling Green, Morgantown. It's going to take in all these locations all the way up to Hodgenville. And so that's why they're doing that.
In hopes that this will be the last warning they have to, issue for these areas that have been taken in.
So it's moving east at 40, the main part of that line, moving east at 40. up to 70 mile per hour wind gusts are possible with that line. And of course, we're getting still some indication that there could be some hail within that. And the tornado watch expires at 10 o'clock. Maybe it will expire. For along and east of Interstate 65, the tornado watch continues until 3 a.m. because it's going to take still several hours to get that line over toward the Green River Lake, Lake Cumberland, Dale Hollow Lake areas. So you're still going to be a while for you guys. But for us in Bowling Green and to the west, it's now starting to come through. There's still a couple of little warnings here, and those warnings are happening because they're seeing those little kinks in the line on the velocity scans where we can see the little kinks that could, it's not a guarantee, but it could produce a brief, somewhat weak tornado. These are not your big tornadoes. Those are not happening now, which is good news in the switching modes of severe weather from large hail tornado type storms to more linear heavy rain damaging wind threat, and maybe just a brief spin up right along the leading edge of that line as it comes through. But you see how nice it is back west of that line. It calms down very quickly, which is good. So as long as there's still a tornado warning or so in our viewing area, then we're going to stick with this. It's coming up on 9:30, and guys, I don't know if this is going to continue on through the 10 o'clock hour or the 10 o'clock newscast. We'll just have to kind of let this play out and see. If we get fewer tornado warnings, then I think we could be able to do a normal 10 o'clock newscast. So I'm just relaying that to guys and gals that are behind the behind the wall here, pushing buttons and making sure everything is set up and ready for the newscast just in case. So we'll be ready for that, and we'll just kind of play it by ear how this is going to unfold. But as long as there's still a tornado warning out for a portion of our viewing area, we stick with it. The severe thunderstorm warnings, I am not that all concerned about, because these are not the kind of severe thunderstorms that would then produce tornadoes. We are now no longer in that kind of mode of severe weather. So as the rain increases and the coverage of rain increases over the area, less of a threat of getting a tornado appears likely. So I see that change is happening now, and that's a good sign. Because all you have to do is go west of that line and everything is done. So if you live in Ohio County, Hartford Dam, if you happen to be watching us from there, you can go to bed. I should say, now you have to stay up and watch the 10 o'clock news. Then you can go to bed. If I was just being selfish, But, hey, everything is behind you now. Even though that severe thunderstorm warning looks like it takes in part of Ohio County, they were accounting for the tail end of that line coming through, but you're fine. If you're in Ohio County, Hartford, Beaver Dam, go to bed, you're fine. I think even though Central City is getting a little bit of rain, you're out of the woods as far as the severe weather threat. Madisonville, you should be fine. You still